Welcome to London Property News Bulletin. Every week, we break down the key headlines and the wider news that could influence the market, keeping you informed and confident in your decisions. Here is what you need to know this week.
The Treasury consultation on the high-value council tax surcharge, the formal name for what the press is calling the mansion tax, has gone a step further. It is now asking whether overseas owners of £2+ million homes should pay an additional levy on top of the surcharge itself. The Financial Times framed it as an oligarch premium. The political optics are obvious. The economic question is the one nobody is asking. At what point does a layered tax stack on non-resident ownership start to behave less like a fair share and more like a deterrent? Prime London has historically priced foreign capital in. It is now being asked to price political risk in too. New analysis puts UK property tax at 3.7% of GDP, the highest of any major economy, ahead of France and Canada. The average stamp duty bill in England has risen from £1,700 in 2010 to £5,500 today. The number is the headline, the trajectory is the story. With the new high-value council tax surcharge coming in from April 2028, the possible non-resident premium on top, and a serving cabinet minister openly pledging a wealth tax, the question for owners isn't whether the burden is high, it is whether it has stabilised. The honest answer is no. Hampton's data via Prime Resi shows central London rents have risen 6.7% in the last year. This sits alongside Knight Frank, confirming a record year in super prime lettings. The pattern is consistent. The sales market is repricing under tax pressure, but the lettings market at the top end keeps tightening. For owners weighing whether to sell into a soft market or hold, the lettings data is the counterweight worth paying attention to. Discrete capital that won't buy is still happy to rent. The Times reports, overseas investment into UK commercial property fell 30% in the first quarter of 2026. Red tape and regulatory drift are cited as the primary causes. Between January and March, foreign investors spent £3.6 billion on UK commercial property, a step change down. For prime residential, the read across is indirect, but worth noting, international capital is reading the UK as a more complicated jurisdiction than it was 18 months ago. When the commercial market cools first, the residential market is usually being told something. UK mortgage rates have risen faster than in the US or continental Europe since the Iran conflict began, with the Times reporting a typical first-time buyer now needs an extra £20,000 of deposit to keep monthly payments at pre-crisis levels. Mortgage cancellations hit a record £8.7 billion in Q1. For prime London, where leverage is lower and cash deals dominate, the direct impact is muted, but the indirect effect on the wider chain, on confidence, and on the second home market is real. Fall-throughs now cost the UK nearly £2 billion a year. The Open Property Data Association reports 58% of UK property sales collapse after an offer is accepted. The Bracknell Forest search delay scandal, the CFIT Open Property Roadmap, and now this transaction friction has become a national policy issue. For prime London sellers, the implication is sharper than the average. A fall-through at this end of the market doesn't just cost money, it costs the buyer altogether. Time on market matters more than ever, and so does the integrity of the chain.
That wraps this week's London Property News Bulletin. Thank you for listening. If something caught your attention or you need support navigating the impact of the news, then please reach out to us. We're here to guide you. If this was useful, do pass it on to someone who also follows the market, and don't forget to subscribe to stay one step ahead.